Thank you for being engaged and being at our AI Summit today. We have a whole bunch of people who are live streaming, following the live stream rather, so welcome to you all as well. Most of you know by now, I'm Elliot, I'm the president of the college, and this is our third AI Summit. The first one we did just a few months after ChatGPT, or what we would now call ChatGPT 1.0, was released. We had another one about 6 months ago, and this is our third. And I think it speaks to AI and the speed at which AI is evolving, that so much has changed in between the second AI summit that we did and this one. So for instance, at that time, you might have been able to say, oh, I don't do AI. I'm not really touching that stuff. I'm not really into all of that, or I'm going to avoid it. But at this point, if you use a search engine, Google, Bing, Perplexity, that's all AI powered. You know that from your own use of search engines by now. If you shop at Amazon, you know that's AI and has probably been AI for a long time. I was coming out of dinner. We were driving out of dinner in LA on Saturday night, about 8 o'clock at night. And I counted, because I was just overwhelmed by the number of Waymos on the road in LA. And it was 1 out of 6 cars was a Waymo. So it's not hard to imagine where that becomes majority, and that becomes all of us, and traffic fatalities fall, and insurance starts going down, and there's some payoff from all this down the road, we hope. The other thing I would point out is that many of the things that we were only able to dream about and think about and try to vision are already here. They've already happened in the 6 months since our second AI Summit. That first AI Summit, you may recall, because ChatGPT was so new and we were so overwhelmed by the ethical implications, we talked mostly about what I call that first question. How on earth are we going to continue to teach writing skills, quantitative reasoning skills, assess them, and all the stuff we teach through writing, like analysis, synthesis, critical thinking, when AI is making it more difficult to do so. And for a while, it was catch up of like, oh, let's stay ahead of it. And I think most people realized like, okay, how are we going to integrate it? How are we going to use it? The second AI summit that we did about 6 months ago was mostly with what I sometimes call that second question that I ask us to think about in our own AI adoption, which is what are the tools? What are the things that we can use in teaching and learning and supporting students to help us get better at it? Today, we're going to continue our discussion of those first two questions, but we're also going to enter into the realm of the third and fourth. The third question that I always talk about whenever we talk about AI adoption is, what is AI literacy? What's the mandate that we have to make sure our students come out with both the discipline-specific skills they need in AI and a broader understanding of AI literacy as a new form of information literacy? And then the fourth question, which we don't spend enough time on talking about but really need to talk about, is how does this change our programming? What are we doing to make sure that we're not sending students into careers that are going to be obsolete, or at least where entry-level jobs may be very difficult to find for a long time? And on the flip side, on a more positive note, what are the new jobs? What are the new careers that AI can give rise to that we need to keep up on in a very nimble way to make sure that we're meeting the demands of our students? So in what we're going to do today, we're going to really address, in some ways, each of those four questions. Today is a play divided into 5 fast acts. So first, in just a moment, I'm going to bring out my friend Chris Brown, superintendent of Capistrano Unified School District, to talk about what's happening in K-12 and what we should expect from the students coming into our system, because more of those students come from CUSD than any place else. In the second act today, we're going to meet some students. We're going to have another student panel. You know how I love me some student panels lately. We're going to hear from our students in terms of their own use of AI and the kind of issues that they're facing and what they need from us. I'm going to turn the reins over to Kim after that, Kim D'Arcy, and she and Thurman have put together a really tight, strong showing for you of some demos, starting with some demos from my own team, myself, my VPs, and Kim and Thurman, who are leading this effort, because I think we need to kind of model up. We need to show that if we're going to talk about it, we use it, we're doing it. Not so much, ooh, look at us, aren't we cool? Because I don't think we're doing that level of work. But rather, hey, we're in this too, and we're doing our best to keep up. And then finally, demos from the real experts, the people at the edge who are really doing a lot of the cool stuff using very cool apps. We'll hear from them. You're going to be very wowed by some of the things that are happening. And then the fifth part, time allowing, is we'll take some questions from the live audience. We will not be able to take questions from the audience that is watching the live stream. So if you are live streaming and you're in your office, if it's inconvenient to be here the whole time. If you want to walk down this way and come see us for the last half hour or so, please do if you have questions in mind. But we won't be able to ask your questions. It'll only be for the live audience at that time. So welcome. Very glad you're here. Very glad you're engaged in the topic. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. So first, I'm going to invite up Dr. Chris Brown, Superintendent of Capistrano Unified School District.
That I'm not an expert.
Chris would like you to know that he's not an expert. He didn't get that on his mic, but I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Please sit, relax. Welcome. I want to share a little bit about Chris, and forgive me, I will call him Chris because I know Chris, and I'm not going to play the game of Dr. Brown, but he is Dr. Brown. Dr. Christopher Brown is now in his third year as superintendent for CUSD. CUSD supports over 40,000 students. Their district is one of the largest in the state and runs 200 square miles. They employ, 4,000, 5,000 people?
About 5,600 people.
5,600, a few more than we do. They are the largest employer in South Orange County, edging us out just barely on that. Chris's doctorate is in educational leadership from USC. His last gig before becoming superintendent was assistant super for the Long Beach Unified School District. He also was a principal for the California Academy of Math and Science, which is a magnet school on the campus of a university, on the campus of CSU Dominguez Hills. And many of you know that for next year, we're working with CUSD for a middle college on our own campus. And long time ago, before he was in any of those administrative roles, Chris was himself a science teacher. So welcome, Dr. Chris Brown.
Thank you, Elliot.
I'm going to jump right into it. So Chris and I have talked about this, and I shared themes of questions I was going to ask him, but nothing today, either with Chris or with our student panelists, is scripted. Students, have I given you the questions in advance? Do you know what you're going to be asked? No, they don't know anything. So we want to make sure that these conversations are free-flowing and are really more like dialogues. So Chris, more of our students, as I said, come to us from CUSD than any other district. And I want to know, what should we expect? What's the use of AI, whether it's sanctioned or not? What are they coming in with? What are their expectations? What are the issues that we're going to see?
I would think you should expect that it's definitely sanctioned. So our use of AI in K-12 starts as early as the primary grades. We really start them getting technologically literate, and then we start using AI as a tool as early as 5th grade. We've partnered with Brisk and Magic School and Classroom Companion. So they can use AI for all sorts of things, right? They can use it to simulate lab findings for labs they couldn't do. They can use it to help guide them and give them feedback. What we don't like them to do is use it to create. We want them to synthesize, analyze, and create on their own. But we do like them to use it as a thought partner. So they are coming to you, having used it both sanctioned and unsanctioned on the side and creating all sorts of stuff with it. It's a tool that is very deeply ingrained in K-12 education right now. And even your students from other districts are going to be the same way. So it was a swimming against the tide to try and stop it. So we are swimming with the tide.
So you cut off at sort of middle school. What about in the high schools? Are they using it in the high schools?
They are. So in high schools, we see it a lot in writing analysis and writing feedback, as well as history and DBQ feedback. So students can, in the classroom, use it in real time to get feedback on something they're thinking about for writing a DBQ, for looking at textual analysis. And what's nice is we have it use it in the classroom, so they're with the teacher. It's not like they're going home and trying to create something on their own. They're doing it in the context of some other scaffolded instructional piece during the class time. So as the teacher is then interacting with small groups of students, they can see exactly how the AI has been used. So it's not a question of what was student generated, what was AI generated. It's all student generated, and then AI is giving them feedback to support them moving forward.
So I think some of our instructors are doing that in sort of what they call iterative use. So using AI at various stages, front end or back end, but they know it's being used at that purpose. So with that in mind, are there academic integrity issues? Are there places where students are not supposed to be using AI and you're having to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, in every new piece of technology we've ever had, there's those integrity issues. It makes me think about when the internet came to our classrooms for the first time and kids were able to like find information for the internet, and we started getting Wikipedia resources showing up. So kids are using it. What we're trying to do is figure out how to help them use it ethically. So if they're writing an essay and the teacher has allowed AI to be used on the essay, one of the things we work on is citing where you're using it, actually looking at how much of AI you used. And then when we think about creating on your own, we do it in the iterative process, but when we come to the final assessment's no AI, right? That's got to be all you on your own. And we've tried to align our grading policies to match. So we're really discouraging the grading of standardized homework. We're, repetitive rote memorization based homework, or the generation of content outside the classroom. Those are all good, and if you're using them for spiral review, it's excellent. But when it comes to the grade is performance and assessment based. It's standards mastery based, and you have to be able to do that. So that becomes, AI was a tool to help you learn the mastery, give you feedback, provide tutoring support. But then in the class, you're giving the performance, you're writing the essay, you're answering the questions. And so we look at standards mastery separate from AI to really think about grades. So we've had to put the two together to separate grading out.
So the assessment piece is no AI, so they're doing the assessment in the class. If they're writing a paper,
yes,
final assessment in the class, they can use a laptop, but...
Yeah, we have Chromebooks in the class. They can use their laptops.
Access.
Yeah.
So have you had this discussion? I was just thinking about this weekend. So there was just an article in the paper. I don't know if anybody else saw it. Who is it? Meta opened up a store in West Hollywood with new glasses that have an AI agent built into the glasses. Yeah. So do you really think you can keep up on no AI in the classroom assessment?
I mean, I think in the old days, we had a hard time keeping up on classroom, homework being copied in the parking lot on the hood of a car. So we have a mobile communications device policy, and we've been working on it for 3 years. The state requires all K-12 schools to have a no cell phone in the classroom policy. At the end of this year, we started 3 years ago, and we're there. We're fully done. No communications devices allowable in class during instructional time. And our students actually, we brought them alongside us when we created the policy. So they were instrumental in what they're going to do and how they're going to give up their phone or their watch or their iPad or whatever it might be, so that they bought in. And when we did that with them, you can walk through our classes now and they're not using them now. Could they have Meta glasses on? Of course they could, but they've been pretty bought in on not breaking that. And then they go out and, passing period lunch and check all their social media and do whatever they want to do, and it's fine. So I think that's been the big thing. Once we got the kids bought on, now it's 1 or 2 kids who would stand out, and nobody wants to stand out in high school.
Did you get your translating buds, by the way? Did you get them?
I do. I have my AirPods. But
so we were talking at lunch a couple months ago. This is just after Apple introduced the new buds that do translation in real time. So I don't know how many languages they do.
A lot.
But with a 1-second delay translating the voice of anyone else. Imagine the opportunities to go anywhere in the world and understand another human being when you have so little understanding of the language. Hopefully you still try a little bit. Chris, where are you guys going in terms of an AI literacy policy? So you've talked about things you're doing at each level. Is that part of a whole? Is there some goal that as somebody graduates, they come out with a certain level of understanding?
Yeah, I think for us, it's going to be looking at also our grad profile, right? So we've always talked about wanting students to be technologically literate. So AI literacy will fall in that. So we have a blanket policy, and for us, really, it's about working with our families and our students to get specific and really to define what does AI literacy look like. And I don't think 6 months ago I could have defined it. I'm not sure now I can define it. That's where we work with industry experts, and we work with our teachers. So our tact has been, if you're going to teach something, you better use it yourself first, right? So most of our development time and most of our work with our staff or with our district has been staff forward. In other words, teaching them to use AI in their own professional life, because when they understand it, then they can figure out how they want to use it as a tool in their instructional practice, as opposed to them not understanding it and then kids using it without any sort of guidance from the adults. So
what's that look like? Talk about, I know you did these summer boot camps. Tell about that.
Yeah, we did a couple of things. So we started 2 years ago with an AI task force, which was a very select group of teachers and administrators to begin looking at what does AI look like in education, and they visited with the state task force and they sat on the county. And then last summer, we created the AI initiative, which is we took what we call our 10 percenters. We took 200 teachers who wanted to be involved, and we gave them a intensive week-long training in the summer. And then all through the year, we have what we call voice or choice teaching. So they have the opportunity to come to live AI sessions, or we live stream them, or we have sort of paced self-taught lessons so that they can continue to work. And they serve as our guiding coalition for how are we using AI, how does AI literacy look. It was actually the first PD we've ever done where we had a wait list of teachers signing up. So we had 500 teachers to try and get 200 spots for that PD, and they've loved it. And so next summer we're going to do 200 more teachers. It's not a lot, right? We have 3,400 teachers, so we have a lot to do. But as you know, once a few teachers do it, you have 2 or 3 in an English department, suddenly the whole English department starts learning during their department meetings. And so you get that sort of broader spread by starting with your early adopters. And as they want to do it, then they go, I tried it like this in my classroom, and they give the instructional strategies to each other.
And I'll ask you to share a conversation we had before we started today, but in general, I want to know, where do you see the big impacts of AI in K-12 education and what you're doing about it?
Yeah, I think part of it is, as you were saying earlier during your opening, is that what's going to be next for the kids? What is the world we're preparing them to go out into? Jobs that we said we were preparing them for a year and a half ago don't exist or won't exist when they get there. So really that means we have to change what we do in terms of opportunities. And it means we need to think about, in the adult world they're going into, what are the skills they're going to have, of which AI becomes a tool, right? Like, if you're going to go out and you can't use a calculator, that's going to be an issue. Well, you have to be able to use AI. So how do we bring that in as a tool and get them ready for that, for whatever career? So it doesn't mean just our advanced classes or just our college-bound classes, but also our CTE courses. How are we using AI in there? How are we working with our industry partners to figure out how they're using AI in their jobs, so we know what we're preparing our kids for? The other thing I think, and I think this is where we'll go, is a little bit is AI has been really, really good as sort of a way to determine where students are in standards mastery. So we've been having a big discussion in Capital about, when we say a kid has earned an A in calculus, what does that mean? It means that they have mastered the standards of calculus, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they sat there quietly or anything. And so if AI is giving kids better progressive feedback, what does that mean for acceleration of students, remediation of students? It changes our entire paradigm about how we accelerate and remediate students.
It reminds me, I don't know if you had this conversation in K-12, but in higher ed, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, we were talking about emporium models. So mastery-based education, where a student comes into a class and we have this many learning outcomes for all students to learn, but some of them come in already having mastered those outcomes. So is it possible to create curriculum where the student tests and we give them only the learning outcome lessons that they need and let them test out of the pieces they don't? Do you see K-12 going in a similar direction?
Yeah, I mean, there's already, I think, a few private examples that are doing that. And one of the things that's really exciting for me is that we actually have a chance here where you could have a teacher in a classroom using AI. And so you could have students in the classroom who are all in very different locations. They're using AI to create sort of bespoke instructional lessons for a block in the morning, let's say 2.5, 3 hours. And that then frees up our teachers to start doing some of the other grad profile things. Because when we say a kid graduates, we don't just say they've mastered the standards in English, history, science. We also say they can communicate, right? They can think critically, they can be creative, and they can problem solve. And where do we practice that? How do we get time separate from the standards to go, hey, let's actually practice being articulate communicators, critical thinking problem solvers, be creative, be innovative. And so I think it opens up this idea that teaching might not just be, I'm a content teacher, but it's that I'm a content and skills teacher, and AI is a tool I use in my classroom to differentiate for kids so that I can spend the back half of the day teaching other skills.
So vision with us, you put together an idea, you may have an academy in the future. What would it look like that integrates AI into teaching and learning?
So I think one of the things we're talking about, maybe at a place like a middle college, where you have students making choice, because what we know about our students and our families is they really like choice, but you could have kids who came in the morning and basically were AI instructed in their content areas, right? If you think about how much time is in an instructional day and you boil it down, in a 4-hour block or a 3.5-hour block, you could get all the content instruction that a kid gets. So they would spend the morning in AI-based content instruction with a teacher there, supporting, answering questions, facilitating. So this is not a replaced teacher. This is just a change sort of the role a little bit. And then in the afternoon, they're gonna go and do other courses. They're gonna take mindset courses. They're gonna take lifestyle courses. They're gonna take financial literacy courses. They're gonna take all sorts of things that they're gonna need to be ready for the adult world. They're gonna go take dual enrollment courses, or expand their athletic and artistic opportunities, or go to work, or whatever they might need to do. And so I think it blends the model that we start to see a lot around here, which is, how can I get my student free in the afternoon by cramming everything in the morning, but doing it in a very structured way with teacher support and AI support.
So here we are at A, and that's B. How do you see us getting from A to B? People are frightened, their jobs at risk. How do you see us traversing that path?
Yeah, I think for us, working with our community and with our teachers, right? We have to help everyone understand this is not about job replacement, because you cannot replace a teacher in a classroom. It's just not doable. If COVID taught us anything, it taught us that students in front of teachers is probably the most effective way to learn. So with that being said, how do we then use our teachers to figure out what this can look like so that we can actually maximize our students' time? So first it starts with getting our teachers ready to use it, ready to see it. And then with anything, we start with a small group. We're going to pilot it. We're going to start with a group of willing teachers and willing students who are okay being the test pilots for this work and seeing how it plays out, knowing that, some things might not work right away. We might have to circle back and do remediation. But once you see success, I think it'll be easier to get the next generation of teachers and students moving in that direction for those that want it. Some families will never want that. Some families are going to want the traditional experience that they've always had. And that's good. I think in K-12 education, what we have to be cognizant of is we can't say we do it one way, and if you want any other way, you have to leave. We have to say we do it a lot of different ways that can lead your student to success based on what you and your student and your family need. And AI is another tool I think is going to make us that much more effective at offering choices.
And we should point out this vision that might sound grandiose is around the corner, and these academies are opening up.
Yeah, I mean, I call it a vision, but really at this point, I would just be copying some other groups that are starting this work and trying to innovate on it and tweak it. It exists. There are students who are already being taught by AI in this state. So actually in the southern half of the state, it's not even that far away. So it's what's interesting about AI is things that used to take us 5-10 years to get to, someone's going to get there in the next 8 months. So we're going to have to figure out how to go a little faster, which with the size of our institutions can be a challenge, right? So that's the other part, is figuring out how to get through everything quickly. Because there's always the fear of, well, if it doesn't work, you just hurt kids. And so we have to figure out what's our backstop to that.
A few of us were at a summit, a conference a few months ago, and one of the sessions was put on by Google, and they introduced, and I think we have some of the faculty using Notebook LM, a Google product, where you basically give it whatever lesson you're going to teach, and it creates learning for student in multiple modalities, and the student can pick anything from a lecture, a white paper, a PowerPoint, or a podcast, because lots of young people want to learn from podcasts now. And the student picks how it wants to learn the material. And it's already there and available. One last question for you. What do you want from us? As you hand off your precious kiddos to us, and we take that very seriously, what do you see as the next step that you want them to have, either before they transfer to university or before they enter careers?
I mean, I think you said earlier, we give a lot of our students, I think it's something like 1,300 a year or something that kind of move from us to you. So I think the first thing I want is that partnership, right? So ultimately, we always say we're preparing them for college. So for us, our instructors need to know what's happening in college, right? And I want you guys to know that they're starting probably farther ahead than you think they are, right? So what that means is don't go backwards, right? It's like when I walk into a 6th grade class and I see them teaching something that I know the kids learned in 3rd grade. I go, whoa, they already got that. Move forward from there, right? And so I think partnership helps us so that you know exactly where they're coming to you. And it's probably higher, especially in terms of AI, it's probably farther ahead than you think they're coming to you. And then for us, what are the core things that they have to have for the way they're going to function in your class, be it online or in person, so that we make sure they have it. Because we have these grad profiles, but if the grad profile is not hitting a certain thing that you see you're needing with our students, then we need to have that feedback. So that's, for me, it's the partnership to make sure that the students articulate cleanly.
Anything else you want to say?
I'm just glad that someone's talking about AI. I think, when I was in my previous district and AI was just coming around, the first question was, how do you stop them from cheating? And I'm glad that the conversation has progressed, because that ship sailed day 2 of AI, right? It was over, it was never going to come back. And so it's really, how do we help them utilize this tool and all the tools they have? This is just another one, and it's going to keep iterating. So I'm glad you're having the conversation. I welcome you to continue, come down to K-12, meet with your colleagues in the high schools. They would love to have you. And we'll put kids on your campus soon, next year, I think. So
we want to get in on those summer workshops.
Oh, we can definitely partner on the summer workshops. So we would love to have you guys. And we're partnering with the county and giving the trainings all over the county. So we'll get you in.
Thank you, Chris. Dr. Chris Brown.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next up, let's hear from some real students, huh? Come on up, guys. Welcome. Oh, one more. Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Say hello in your mic so we know you're
Hello.
here.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Now together. Hello.
Hello.
That was pretty good.
Hello.
Scott, they're pretty good. Welcome. We're really glad you're here. So I always like, when I have a student panel, I always like to be very transparent. Where did these folks come from? I put the word out from a couple sources to Kim, and Shuka had also, Oprah had done the survey of students based on AI and how students were using AI. And Shuka and her team were looking for specific students that gave really articulate answers. They came up with a whole bunch of people for me to interview. I talked to each of those folks by phone. They impressed me, so they're here because of the quality of their voices, not because they have a position one way or the other, but they're very well spoken, and I thought it would be a value for you to hear from them, just as I learned from you all. And I won't burst their bubble by saying what I learned from them, because almost all have the same use of AI in their academic work, which just freaked me out. I mean, it wasn't cheating, by the way. It was actually something very constructive, but we'll let that come out organically. So let's do this. How about if you each introduce yourself? So here's what we want to know when you introduce yourself. Obviously your name, what year this is for you at Saddleback, got that? What you're studying, and what's your career goal. Got that? Name, what year, what you're studying, what's your career goal. Blake, start us off.
Hi, everybody. My name is Blake. This is going to be my sophomore year for my major, which is computer science. And I'm working toward hopefully having a career as a software engineer.
Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael. This is my second year here at Saddleback. I'm studying business. And my career in the future is unknown, but looking to do something in the finance department.
Nassim.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nassim. I'm in the first year of this college, and my major is cyber defense. And my plan is to work on something like software engineering. I'm still thinking about my options.
Lots of time. Zachary.
Hi, I'm Zachary. I'm a first year here at Saddleback, and I'm studying economics. And my future career goals is to work at a big tech company like Google or Microsoft and work in business intelligence.
Elle.
My name is Elle. It's my second year at Saddleback. I'm a business finance major, and I'm looking to pursue investment banking.
Hey, you guys should talk.
Yes.
There's some connection there. Spencer.
My name is Spencer. I'm a third year here at Saddleback. I'm studying computer science, and I work as a context engineer at an AI startup, and I look to just further grow my skills in that field.
Thank you all. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for lending your voice. Nobody's nervous. You seem very calm. It's just a few people. We're just learning, trying to get to know you a little bit, right? Here's what I want to know. Tell me, we're going to do this down the row again. Tell me, we'll go reverse. How about we start with Spencer this time? We'll go the other order. But tell me how you're using AI in your personal life, in your work life, and in your academic life. Spencer.
I usually use AI to find a deeper understanding about things that I'm having trouble with, or if I'm learning a new topic. I think it's more powerful than any search engine that you can use, and you can really build off of what you are currently thinking. It's almost like a lens to magnify your own thoughts or ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I use it in my personal life for more so like resume refinement, and then sort of like sending out mass emails. I have a small business, and so I use that for mass emails, and it just makes things overall much more efficient. As far as like my classroom use of AI, I tend to limit it just because I pride myself in like content originality. However, when it comes to refining topics, whether that be for essays or whatever, I do use AI just to sort of like get started if I do receive the green flag, like from my professor. More recently, in my honors public speaking class, we had to create a hyper niche topic and something that couldn't be easily Google searched, and a lot of students were struggling, and so my professor actually encouraged us to use AI solely for finding that very niche topic, and I felt as though that was highly beneficial for not only myself but also my peers.
And before we go on, Spencer, I want to give you a chance because you spoke of this broad topic of kind of deepening understanding. Was that both in personal life and in academic life for you?
Right, both for personal and academic life and at work. And I want to add that it's really based on what you are giving this tool. The more you force it to deduce whatever your goal is, the more broad and inaccurate your result is going to be. The more finite you can be, the more descriptive you can be, the more you know already about what you're trying to get, the more powerful this tool is going to be for you.
So it's all about the query. It's all about the prompt. Zachary.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I use it a lot in my schoolwork, more of studying and helping me kind of refine essays. I had an essay due for my English honors class last week where we were given the rubric before. So I gave the rubric to ChatGPT and Google Gemini. I said, hey, don't touch my writing at all. Don't do anything like that. Just simply go over and tell me, where am I hitting these points on the rubric? Where can I improve so that I can really ensure that I'm doing the right thing, writing the correct way, getting a good grade? Or even for study guides where we're given a study guide, said, hey, using these topics, can you give me some practice questions to make? And like Notebook LM, like you spoke on earlier, does a great job of that. And same with Gemini and ChatGPT.
Nassim, how are you using AI?
Well, first I was exposed to it when a company from Germany contacted me to create models for them that AI was using those to learn how to do it on its own. So that was a very interesting conversation and a process that I had to learn through that. And then after that, I started using it for my own small business. I have an art business, and it is very helpful for me, for someone that has a disability and memory issue, to be able to invoice and show people what I really want to say, and emphasize on what is important in my business, instead of going through rabbit hole and not be able to move forward and be successful. Also, I started using it for the classes that I'm taking. However, I really like what the speaker was telling us. And in contrary, this is what I want to add, is that my personal experience so far is that yes, I am using AI. It's helping a lot of my disabilities, and to be able to read it out loud to me, to summarize it, creating quizzes for me, and it also helping me to develop my ideas. So now when that idea is coming to paper, that's my idea at the end, because this is what I exactly told and all the information. But then what I'm facing, the challenge that I'm facing currently is that when I am putting that information, that is my word, into the AI checker, because that's a part of the assignment, it is giving me a red flags. So then what I observe is that if I go and destroy my sentences grammarly and professionally, just completely change it and make it messed up, AI gives me 100%, which is like, good, you're doing a great job in it. So which is frustrating. Why do I have to go down instead of moving forward? And why are we using this against learning more and spending less time satisfying the AI checker, that at the end it's not important? And so then my whole struggle is that I'm spending a lot of time on this instead of working on learning more about the topic, and and adding to that and learn to go forward.
Good point. Michael, how are you using AI? personal life, work life?
Yeah,
School.
so for school life, educationally, lately I've found myself using it a lot for my math class, my calculus class, and not in a way where it's just like, okay, here's the problem, solve it. I start off with that, but then the goal is to really understand to understand the concept. So I ask it follow-up questions like, okay, how'd you go from here to here? Why did you go from here to there, right? Not just to get the answer, but to really understand it, because I know that later on I'll be tested on the concept. So I need to make sure I'm able to understand, really understand what I'm being asked instead of just going to an answer. And personally, I also use it to help me kind of weigh out decisions. So earlier this year, I was thinking of making a big purchase of buying a snowboard, right? And I didn't really know anything about that. So I use AI to help me figure out where to start. And it's like, okay, like, do we have any stores nearby? Where do I go? And AI is able to pull from, if you tell it like the city you live in, it's able to tell you nearby stores and like specifics about the store. Like, oh, maybe the store has good discounts, has good customer service, and it's like I'm able to think about it. I'm like, okay, and just weigh out the options of what I want to do. And yeah.
Thank you. Did you buy a snowboard?
I did buy it.
Blake.
I'd say that there have been two major paths that I've used it in my education so far that have helped me immensely in such a short amount of time. The one is actually the one that was just mentioned. In my pre-calculus class, my math professor is fantastic. Unfortunately, he only has about an hour for office hours, so I have a lot of stupid questions for math. I'm not very natural with it, so AI has been a fantastic tool to help me if I get stuck in a certain area and not just tell me what the answer is, but as was previously mentioned, how to move forward. So the critical thinking is still, I'm trying to learn it. I'm not trying to offload that. So that's been super advantageous in the math department. And then in computer science department, I have so many projects that I've done in previous classes so far that it's been a fantastic way for, if I want like certain parts to be like reusable, it's a great tool to be able to create certain files, to be able to automate certain aspects of programming.
So some commonalities that I heard, but just want to summarize. Lots of you, it started with Spencer, this idea of using AI to kind of dig down in a topic you're interested from. I think we heard that from several people on the panel as well. A couple of you mentioned live here, and I think nearly all of you mentioned when we talked by phone, creating quiz and test questions for yourself from study materials. I was really intrigued by that. That seemed to be a very common use. And in terms of your writing, I don't hear a lot about getting AI to do the writing for you, though there may be reasons why you don't want to share that here, but I think you're all pretty honest, and when you talked to me, there was less fear of that. But instead, I'm hearing like an iterative use. It may be to develop an idea, it may be to check on it later, though Nassim pointed out there is some danger in that you're just trying to please the AI engine and not actually doing the learning. Does that summarize it? Anything else you're using AI for in your schoolwork that's worth noting? Anybody using it to ingest your notes and create study guides or anything like that? Couple of nods to that. Yep, couple of nods to that. So really good stuff. Are any of you running into issues with AI integrity where you're not clear when you should use AI or when you shouldn't use AI, or you've struggled or been accused of using AI when you didn't? Are there any issues that you want us to be aware of that you've encountered? Anyone?
Yes.
Nassim and then Zachary. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying that when I'm writing a paper and it is all my ideas, it is my own words, and that when I'm uploading it, the AI checker, that the software that you're using is flagging it. That means that they are questioning my knowledge, questioning that whether I did write it or not, which is sad. I mean, how can you say that which one is yours and which one is not yours? I would say you can easily say by analyzing it that AI cannot 100% write down your tone and exactly using your feeling, your understanding, and your point of view. It has a limitation. So when you're using the idea that you got from the examples that you already gave to AI, and now you're writing your own, and you are bringing your own understanding, and everything is your own writing, then therefore we should not use this system to question my integrity.
So, one, you're saying you have your own moral compass and you're not going to use it when you haven't, but you're also questioning the idea of a tool sort of having the audacity to tell you that isn't yours when you know it's yours.
Yeah, well, so it's like this, that when you're using AI, the question is that how can we catch that if people cheat to using the AI, or they use it to just improve their ideas, right? There are two differences.
Yes.
And I understand someone who does not know how to use the AI correctly, which is a great point here, that the first thing we want to teach to any student coming to college, the first class should be talking about AI and how to use it properly. And then we also need to have the professors agree on that. Otherwise, we are going to have every class, we are going to have completely different ideas about it, and that's going to confuse the student in the process, right? So we should be able to identify and explain that just in the last minute, asking AI, here's the rubric, and then just write it down for me. It would be a huge difference with someone who has spent a lot of time and did the research and use a proper citation to create a perfect paper.
Understood, thank you. Zachary, academic integrity issues?
Yes, very similar. I use Grammarly, which has its own AI checker on there, and even times where I've written the entire thing, I know for a fact Grammarly hasn't even edited the grammar yet. It'll say, oh, this part was written by AI, and it just looks for the patterns. But even at that point, I always put it through an AI checker just to make sure that I can handle and fix that before I turn it in. It gets flagged and I automatically get a 0, and there's no way for me to prove it. So it's not really like academic integrity because I know I wrote it, but sometimes the AI checkers will say, oh, this is a common pattern that we've seen of writing, and because of that, this was written by AI and it wasn't you.
Understood. Is anybody thinking, I know one thing that some of the instructors are trying at our college is helping you understand why it's important to not use AI at certain steps, because these are the things you're learning from that. Are there times when you're having that experience where you're like, I could use AI, but this is what I'm trying to learn, and if I use AI, I might not be learning that thing I'm supposed to be learning? Lots of nods. Michael, want to flesh it out a little bit?
Yeah. So I think it really comes down to your internal motivation on how much you really want to learn the subject you're learning about. It's I think there's a problem with how assignments and tests and stuff are graded, because usually it's graded based on the quality of a performance. It's like if your essay is good, you're going to be rewarded with a high grade, right? But AI could easily produce a perfect essay in seconds, right? So it's like if a student were to use a fully AI generated essay and another student used handwritten it and took the time out of their day, right, to actually write it, and there's a chance that handwritten essay is not going to be as good as that AI essay, yet the person with the AI essay is going to be rewarded with the A. So I think there needs to be more encouragement from teachers for students to really express their own opinion and rely less on the AI.
Elle, that sounds like the micro niche story, the instructor that had you write a topic that was so specific that it's not likely AI could write the essay for you.
Absolutely, yes. One thing that I've personally experienced, I know AI use more specifically with essay writing in English classrooms. I felt as though my experience in Dr. Hoyta's classroom in my honors English class, really, she did a fantastic job at formulating the curriculum to implement personalization. So all of our essays still fell within her curriculum, but we were able to implement, our own experiences, our own passions, and none of my peers, granted it is an honors class, right, but none of my peers used AI at all when writing these essays. And we were all really, really passionate about writing them. We wanted to write them. And so I think when applying that to, other classes, I encourage teachers to ensure assignments are maybe a little more personalized, so that way students are able to or are less inclined to use AI for completing that.
Thank you. Spencer, I want to go back to you. So you started us off by talking about your own use of AI and how the prompt ended up being everything, and many of us are learning that. And I can speak for myself and most people in the audience, like we're learning on our own. Like as we go, we're getting better and better at queries because we're figuring it out, right? Is that how each of you have learned to use AI? Has it just been your own, or have you picked it up in a class, or someone took you aside and said, here's how you do this? Spencer, let's start with you because you got that conversation going.
It's totally a deep dive. I'd say it's a lot of both. It's doing your own research, it's trying things out, it's seeing what works, what doesn't. I want to say that the book was once a very cutting edge technology, and what we're seeing right now is a similar jump, right? But this isn't just the book, it's also the pen, and you could even argue that maybe it's a sword, right? And that's all going to come down to how you use it to shape your own understanding, to shape what you have to say. If you take a topic for an essay and you say, ChatGPT, write this essay for me, that's not an A+ paper, right? That is a lazy paper. And you can see, because you're a human and you can read that. And so we don't just need to think of this as plagiarism. We need to think of this as people not sharpening their ideas enough and not articulating themselves deeply enough. There's a new category to grading. How much did you develop your prompt? Is this obviously just generated?
So are you saying, Spencer, that using AI to do some writing may be okay, but it's how you're supervising the AI and doing that writing, that if it's prompts and you're playing a role in it, that's okay? And no judgment here, I just want to know what you're saying.
I don't think that AI technology is at the point where it can replace human art or human writing. I think that it can help you do better, though. I think that when it looks at what you've given it and you take the feedback that it has given you and you can apply that, that is still your writing at that point.
Anyone else? Yep. Zachary first and then Asim.
Yeah, I agree that it's not necessarily a good way to do the writing for you, but I'm in the process of writing college applications right now, and there's guides everywhere on how to do it. And something that I did was I asked ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and I said, hey, can you find all those guides, find all the questions, and I need help brainstorming. Can you start asking me questions that you see are common throughout it to help me kind of develop this idea? And after going through it for about like 10 to 15 minutes of just asking questions and me giving responses of what I've gone through, what I could write about, really helped me to flesh out like a great idea that I could write on. So I think, like he was saying, like, it's not at the point where like you can't really use AI to write that A+ paper. That is just being lazy, and a lot of the times people use it when they're not as interested in class. Like we were talking about earlier with the English classes, it's done in mine too, where you have a choice of you can write on these things, but you can also choose anything that you want as long as it like gets approved. So if you have more freedom to kind of write about what you want, do what you want, you're less tempted to use AI because it's like, oh, I don't care about it, I'll have AI do it for me. But if I really care about this and I'm passionate about it, I'm gonna wanna do my best work and do it myself.
To Elle's point about everybody in the class being excited about writing about something they had passion about. Mm-hmm. One common use case I'm hearing from many of you then is this idea of like fleshing out ideas, getting more specific, using the iterative process and prompts to hone an idea down, because that's one of the struggles when you start writing, right? Is like, it's a topic too big and your instructor says that's too big, and how do you narrow that? How do you pick something? Nasim, you wanted to add something to this topic.
Yes, well, I totally agree with everyone's point of view. I just want to say that as an adult who already done all these things and learned about those steps, and with the disability, I want to emphasize on disability, I can tell you that I am using AI as a bridge to help me to concentrate, focus, to be able to communicate more efficiently. And this is my concentration, is that AI is helpful for people for anyone, especially for people with the disabilities. So we cannot just like discard it this easily and say that, well, if you're using AI means that you don't use your own mind or you don't understand the topic. Yes, you could understand the topic. Actually, you can use the AI to fully understand it, and you can constantly, as someone mentioned, you can ask as stupid questions that you want until you get the idea. Then you write it. You write the final.
So how many of you are using AI in that way that whether you have a disability or whether you just have a different learning style, you're using AI tools to have you teach you something in a different way than maybe the instructor did? Raise your hand if that's very common use. And does that include, like I was talking to Chris Brown, you heard about even things like podcasts and creating decks. Anybody using it for things like that, creating decks and podcasts of your own learning to give to you in another format? Interesting use case. Let's keep it moving on. I want to talk to you about this idea of AI literacy. You've all said that along the way, or at least most of you who've spoken to that question said, you kind of had to self-teach and it evolves the way that most of us have. Is there something you wish we would be teaching? Is there something that you expect? I think Nassim, you referenced like it would be good in the first class, like in the very first class. What's the policy? What do I need to know? But by the time you finish with us, is there something you want from us in AI literacy? What does that mean to you, and what do you expect from us? And what do you need from us that you're not getting in terms of those AI skills and that understanding of how to use AI? Blake, we'll start with you.
You know, I think it's super important. It's kind of already been said before, but having a really solid foundation and understanding of the topic is always going to be number one, first important. And then using AI as a tool to basically fill in the gaps or lift you up to another level is kind of what should be instilled in higher education. So if AI can be taught on a specific level, whether it's math or computer science, in some sort of like curriculum to help like specifically prompt engineer what you're trying to learn, I think that could be the best use of it, because everybody has a different use for it, and the way that they learn is also unique too.
So learning how to prompt the right way for learning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got
Like
it.
concepts or maybe a step you don't understand in an abstract concept, yeah.
Michael, what do you need from us in AI literacy?
Can you come back to me? I kind of think about that a little bit longer.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Nassim.
Well, I agree. I'm taking a class with Udemy. It is all about AI and how to prompting. And one of the great examples that they have over there, that was like a recent job that they were showing was that if you learn how to prompt correctly, you can get a higher, you can be accepted as for a higher job if you know how to use it, how to prompt it, because that prompt, people usually don't get that seriously. How you talk to AI, how you give the information is affecting what you're receiving.
So you'd like, again, more information on
Yeah,
that topic.
yeah.
Zachary, what would you like from us in terms of AI literacy?
I would agree it's going to be a lot of learning how to use it correctly through prompting, but more than that, like you talked about Notebook LM earlier, where it can reach people who learn in many different ways. Like in my senior year of high school is when it came out, and a week after it came out, my computer science teacher was telling us how to use it for our own learning styles. She was teaching us exactly what to do.
How long ago was that?
About a year ago, I think. Year and a half.
Wow, I am feeling so behind.
Yeah, right when that came out, and I think that it'd be very helpful for in classes. The teachers say, hey, if you guys like to learn this way, here's a great tool for you. Yeah. It could be Notebook LM for that instance, where if you're a more auditory learner than rather reading your notes over again, you can have that podcast version. I just think a lot of it's going to come from using it on your own. That's the main way that I learned it was, if I want to get it to teach me a certain way, I know how to phrase now, hey, I want you to explain it this way or give me more practice problems. It's just kind of, everyone's going to like get the most out of it in their own way. It's not going to be able to say, hey, everyone do it this way to get the best answer. You're going to kind of have to learn on your own a little bit to learn what's the best for you.
Hands on.
Yeah.
Elle, what would you like from us in terms of AI literacy?
Yeah, AI in education is sort of this taboo topic, right? It's this unspoken rule that if you use AI, you're gonna receive an academic dishonesty violation and there will be extensive consequences. And so I think rather than vilifying, we should teach students how to use AI as a tool and a means of elevating and refining what has already been created. Like I had mentioned previously, the sort of topic formulation. And then also be able to educate students on the harms, right? Define where one can draw the line and what is deemed as too far. And teachers can, tell students what they consider is too far, so that way students aren't, receiving academic dishonesty violations.
Good to know. So I'm hearing, obviously the prompting, query formation would be part of AI literacy. Also some of the tools that will help you, as Zachary said, learn different modalities, but also this idea of like, let's be clear on what the ethics are of AI use from the start, from the get-go, so that there's a clear understanding going forward. Spencer, anything to add at this point?
Yeah, so I would say that using AI, it can't come down to being like, let's say you have an open book test and you didn't do any studying, and then you show up and you have an hour to answer all the questions, correctly. You may have all the answers right there in front of you, but you don't know how to implement them. You don't know how to get those right answers on the test. And so we should focus on teaching students to use AI not as like a last minute problem solver, but as a tool that they're using consistently throughout the development of their work, and that the work is truly their own, which we can test through logs and things like that in Google Docs. So,
Michael, we come back to you, but see, being last is hardest because now you've got to come up with something new. What do you got for us?
Well, I guess I could say that I really think in terms of what the teachers and how they're gonna grade assignments, I guess they need to encourage students not to rely on AI as a crutch, right? But to actually reward the people who use their own original, authentic thoughts and critical thinking, because that's the one thing that AI can't replace. AI is your assistant. It can't do your thinking for you. You do the thinking. AI can do the summaries, it can tell you definitions, it can tell you everything, but at the end, it all comes to your expression and your opinion. And I think there needs to be a big reframe of how assignments are graded. It should be, authenticity should be rewarded, is what I'm trying to say, basically.
So this notion of like things that we do in writing that are just plain old communication, maybe AI can do that, but there's a level of personal expression that is not going to be simulated by AI, and that's what we should value more at the end of the day.
Correct.
One last question for you all. How do you feel about all this? How do you feel like AI is going to affect your life and your future career? Many of you have career goals that some would say might be vulnerable to impacts of AI, and you must be thinking about that. Many of you have career goals that could be kind of exciting, being at this pivot point. How are you feeling about AI and your future when you think about this subject of AI? Blake?
Personally, I feel pretty good about it overall. I like Spencer's analogy about the open book, but you don't know where to look type of implementation of AI, especially studying computer science and being a software engineer. Entry-level positions are harder and harder to come by for this exact reason. People are under the expectation of you've already started to integrate AI into your workload or thought process, and you're self-sufficient in making projects, doing tasks. So I think it's a necessary tool that a lot of people are lucky to use.
Michael?
Yeah. I'm pretty confident in the future and the career that, AI is not, I'm confident that it's not gonna replace jobs, it's just gonna enhance the productivity of them. What's going to be replaced is people that don't know how to use AI. They're going to be replaced. So, it's good that we're teaching students as early as 5th grade to use AI, because that's going to set them up very well for the future.
Nassim, pessimistic or optimistic?
Well, I totally agree with everybody, and I want to emphasize that as someone with a disability, I noticed and I taught myself how to use AI to move forward. So the AI is not a threat, it is, it's not gonna affect human touch in anything. It is actually emphasizing, and it is gonna improve us. So it is personally gives me some confidence that even though I have so many health issues, I can still sit here with every other student and have an equal opportunity to be able to be successful in whatever I want to be.
That AI could level the playing field.
Yes.
Zachary, pessimistic or optimistic?
I'm also optimistic. I think that it's going to be a great tool to enhance productivity. Like said earlier, just the biggest thing is that as long as AI is controlled and like dealt with the right way, it's not going to replace everyone's jobs, but it is going to become a requirement. Even if you're not working in the tech field or anything like that, you're going to need to know how to use AI because it's going to become so prominent in almost every workforce that if you know how to use it correctly, it'll really help to elevate you against other people.
It's going to be hard enough being the female investment banker.
Yeah, absolutely. What I have to say on that is that AI is incapable of replacing genuine human connection, which is a universal necessity in pretty much all of our careers that we've chosen to pursue. And so I'm very confident that at least for my job, that it will still be around when I am pursuing it. And so I think it's just important to teach students to be aware of it and how to use it and how you can benefit from it, right? And not to instill this fear surrounding it.
Thank you. Spencer, you've got a unique lens. You're kind of out there already. So what do you think?
Yeah, so honestly, to build off of this, there's this tweet that gets really popular, and it has been, it comes and goes away. It says, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so I can do art and writing, not for my AI to do my art and writing so I can do my laundries and dishes, right? And everybody, it's funny, right? But it's not there to replace your creativity. It reflects your creativity. It's a tool that scales your thoughts, and it's completely dependent on you for direction. And when you're working in a code base with tools like Codex, not knowing what you're doing is a complete disaster. You need to have a deep understanding of the code base itself in order to create prompts that will result in Codex making those right decisions. And that doesn't mean you can get away with knowing less. It means you need to understand more than you ever did before so that you can properly orchestrate these powerful tools.
I really like that. I want AI to do my dishes and laundry so that I can write music and wonderful poetry. That's very well said, and we're going to end on that note. Can I hear a round of applause for our student family? Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Grateful for this. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear your voices. At this point, for the next segment of our AI Summit today, we're going to move into our demos. So I'm going to invite Kim up to MC the next two segments. First, looking at what some of the leaders at the college in the AI movement have been doing with their own AI, but also hear from the real experts in terms of some cutting edge stuff that's happening. So we're going to start with me. Whoops. There we go. So I've been playing with AI in a few ways, mostly with LLMs like most of you. Claude is my favorite LLM, but because Copilot is now integrated into our Microsoft suite systems, I've been using Copilot as well. But I've been using AI to learn about AI and to learn what the limitations are. So one thing that I thought, and many of us believe about AI, is that it is terribly accurate, it has hallucinations, and it doesn't engage in any level of critical thinking. And that might have been true, but it's getting better. And the reason that AI, these LLMs are all free is because they're using us to train it. They're using our experiences for it to get better. And you can look at that cynically, or you can look at it as a positive, that it is in fact getting better. So one of the things I've been doing in the course of my own learning about AI is asking it prompts to try to get a feel for what the level of critical thinking is in AI. And you know, if you listen to people who were talking about AI 6 months ago, you know it was often referred to as a crude scrape of the internet. So all of the biases, all of the inaccuracies on the internet in general were being scooped up and fed to you by AI, maybe in a nicer narrative form as if they were true, but not with any discernment. So I put into, just recently, I put into AI a simple prompt. Does Tylenol in pregnancy cause autism? Shall we see what we get? So Claude gives a very definitive answer. And I want to point out the lead is not buried. There's no causal link. There is no causal link. And if you scrape the internet, you will really come out thinking there's a balanced controversy here. No. When you actually curate and go down to scientific sources, there is no causal leak. There are some associations, but Claude is telling me don't be fooled by associations. Causation is different than a correlation, than an association. So Claude has gotten very good, and I know this will scare us a little bit, at critical thinking, a little bit. And that's probably a good thing in terms of safe use, but it does show how fast it's learning. Now I want to show you one more thing. I put the same prompt, thank you for driving, Kim. It makes it so much easier to talk. I put the same prompt into Copilot. Now Copilot's going to give me a similar answer, but I was really struck by the way it's a little bit more hedgy. So it does clearly say, and by the way, this changed just in the last few days. When I did this a few days ago, it did not have that lead sentence, and I got into an argument with it. I said, why are you hedging? It said, there's associations, and it talked all about the associations, but before it got to, oh, but that's not causation, it had all this stuff that made it sound it was very balanced. And I don't know if you do this, but I get in conversations with my LLM, and I get quite animated sometimes. And I said, well, why did you hedge? I specifically asked you the word causation, and the answer to causation should have been no, and that should have been your lead, and you didn't give me that. And a few days later, not because of me, I assure you, there's a lot more input into this machine, but now it at least starts out. But even then, it goes immediately into what the research shows with more observational studies. So it's a little bit more, I hesitate to say diplomatic, but it's as if it's been programmed to be more conscious of not pissing off the reader, if that makes sense. So this reinforces my view of Claude. Claude is known for its accuracy and safety, and that's the way Anthropic developed it. And I love Copilot. I love the use of Copilot with all of our Microsoft tools. But my own learning has been that this is an evolving technology, and it's getting much better. Next up, Kim.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim DRC. He just, just said Kim, but Kim DRC. I'm the Dean of Instructional Support and Teaching. It's fine. It's fine. The Dean of Instructional Support and Teaching Innovations. So happy to have you. Can we give the student panel one more hand? Woohoo! You all are awesome. So happy to have you. Okay, so Elliot just showed us his demo. Next up, we have Thurman Brown, the Director of Tech Services. So he's going to come on up. And we're going to start with ChatGPT. Oh, sorry, you want a microphone? Okay, there you go.
All right, thank you for the introduction. And Elliot, thank you for another chance to do this. So I'm going to go through kind of what we do in IT in the real world. Speaking of prompts, it's interesting. I put into ChatGPT, give me a prompt, an example of creating a scope of work for an AV refresh, something that we're currently doing on the campus, including some of the requirements that it would take to get an accurate cost analysis. So this is what it came out with, and it highlights some of the things that we need: audio cameras, different components, and this pulls it from our current SharePoint drive. Go ahead and switch to, go ahead and hit enter. Let's see what it comes up with. So as you can see, it starts to scroll through, and it actually comes out with a full project overview. It begins to tell us the different components that we would need. This is what we would give to contractors to come out. It tells us the room sizes. It tells us the different components that we need to put together for the actual rooms. And then we're able to take all of this when it's done, export it out. Now we have a template to be able to give to contractors to come on site and actually upgrade all of our classrooms. Once we get this, we'll go through it. We'll make sure that it actually hits on what we need. We'll refine the components a little bit more. We'll make sure that the budget is within what we have. We have a contingency amount for when we need to put other components in or for unforeseen circumstances. Then we export it out to Word and we ship it off to the contractor. The other thing I wanted to show, so HR likes me to be nice to people, and sometimes it's hard. So I took something that Kim sent me one day.
It's not true. It's not true.
And what I did was, I like to think of multi-universe, and I like to think of a time when she was actually nice to me. So I popped this in and I said, hey, let me see what Kim would say if she actually liked me. Go ahead and pop it in. So this website right here, this website allows you to go in, take your frustrations out on it, and then it comes up and it tells you very nicely how to say it to someone. This is good. This is good when you're having a bad day. I mentioned this last time we had the AI conference, so I wanted to show it to you. As you can see, should Kim actually like me, she would have said it nicer instead of calling me stupid. But regardless, I do love her, and she's one of my best friends here. So that's it.
Thank you, Thurman. I know. Next up, we have our Vice President of Instruction, Tram Kumamoto. She's going to come up and show us Napkin AI.
So before I get started, I just started learning Napkin AI, so I'm very at the beginnings of my experience here. Couple of things that I've already noticed with it, as opposed to ChatGPT, is it doesn't really log my prompts, and so it's actually a little bit harder for me to learn from it, because as I go back and I get different information, I'm not able to differentiate the different prompts I put in. So now I'm like screen capturing my prompts before. But I've used ChatGPT and both for personal and for work, and I find that that's really more conversational. This one, I'm just using it to try and create visuals. So one of the things that we're just starting to talk about right now is helping first generation students. Our student panel at the beginning of the year talked a lot about building confidence. And so I wanted to figure out a visual framework to demonstrate it. And as you can see, I use this little thing, and it has a little lightning bolt, and then it shows you a picture of what the concept was. So this was where I asked it to demonstrate. Kim,
Is it me?
are you getting too close to me? I asked it to demonstrate kind of the connection between confidence, belonging, and helping students succeed. And so it presented this really nice visual. I don't know about you, but I'm a visual person, and a lot of times when I'm explaining things, it helps to demonstrate for others. So this is, again, just a really quick thing. As you can see here, you can hit that lightning bolt, and it does all sorts of things there. And it, again, just kind of gives you different ways of visualizing the concept. It has so many options, and it's so quick. So what I love about it is it helps me to go through and pick one that I think depicts what I'm trying to message. And a lot of times I use presentations that go along with narrative, and so the visual helps kind of focus folks so that we're all on the same page. So that's my lab.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next up we have, let me pull up the PowerPoint. We have Jennifer LaBounty, the Vice President of Student Services. She is going to show us how she uses ChatGPT.
Hi everyone, Jennifer LaBounty. As many of you know, I'm pretty personal, and I like that high engagement and talking and being involved. But there are some things at work that can, it's really helpful to use ChatGPT that doesn't take away my time from all of that, and I can use it to be more efficient with my time and my energy. And so one of those things that I used it for is a lot of times we're on hiring committees, and we have to develop questions. And those questions can be very time consuming. You want to get a really good question. I often kept a bank of questions, and then I'd go through them and say, does this one meet that? Is this what I'm looking for? And sometimes it doesn't. You want to develop a new question. So if Kim wants to go ahead and start, I copied myself entering the question, the prompt. Wanted to create an interview question on conflict management. So when you start, you just put something simple like that. We talked about how good the prompts are. You get all these general questions about conflict management, and it could apply to anybody, or, you know, it's very general. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have something more specific. So these are the general ones that you get, gives you a whole bunch of choices. Then I wanted to have something more specific, and so if you want to look at the next video. So I wanted to create one more about conflict management as it pertains to leaders who have to engage with conflict management, maybe between a student and an employee. So how would they do that? So that's what I wanted to get more information out of an applicant. So then I asked it specifically, you know, that question. And I get questions that are more, you know, curtailed towards that. My typing was really slow, so sorry. Not really quick. So these are some of the things that came out of that. A general conflict management approach, it gives you the general again, but then what I noticed is the scenario-based questions I really liked. So it was more about, you know, how a student and a staff member are engaging and how they went through that. And those might be the ones that I would choose for that interview if that's what I was looking for. So one other thing that I did, so we can go through this and then we can go to the next video, is just recently we had students, about 25 students that attended UCI for a summer immersion experience where they were to be on the campus in a dorm and have that experience. And so they asked me, Jennifer, can you go present to the students one night? And I was like, okay, what am I gonna present on? And I used to do strength finders a lot. So I was like, oh, let's do strength finders. That's fun. We can get to know each other. We can find out what we're good at. And then I thought, but what am I gonna do? Let me go through my old stuff. I couldn't find the stuff. I was going through everything. And I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, let's do balconies and basements and strength finders. Give me some kind of activity I can do with them, and some handouts. That would be great. So again, putting that into ChatGPT, I asked it, can you give me a Strength Finders activity that has to do with the balconies and basements? And that's something that's engaging with the students. And I actually got a 45-minute activity. I didn't use all of it, but I used some of it that I liked. And then it also gave me handouts. And I did tweak the handouts a little bit, you know, so that they were more my style. But it was really awesome because I didn't have to spend 2 hours looking for the old activities that I had. It was more current. It was based, because Strength Finders is also updated, so it was based on current Strength Finders, and it was just pretty awesome. And so we had a great time, ended up having about 3 hours together, and it was really engaging, and they had a good time, and so did I. So that's how I've used it.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's give a hand for the upper leadership. Okay, so up next is me. Okay, so you have just seen some really awesome demos with LLMs, your large language models. I'm gonna show you something different. I'm gonna show you what's called an AI, or an agentic AI, or an agent. So I'm gonna talk about Perplexity AI. They just released their new agent called Comet. Very fitting, so welcome to Comet. It's just something hurtling at us, right? So let's talk about what agentic AI is. What is that term? How does it differ from an LLM? So think of agentic AI as your personal assistant. How many people want a personal assistant? Raise your hands. Absolutely, you do, right? Something that can come in, it can complete tasks, it can think, it can reason, it does what's called agent task chains. And that means that it builds on its own structure. It builds on its own reasoning in order to think, reason, pivot ideas, plan on your behalf. So it's wild, the opportunities that are out there. I'm going to show you an example. So here's Comet. I named my agent Winston. Just go with it. Thank you. Okay. So what I asked Winston to do is I said, hey, Winston, you're my agent. I want you to create a 1-hour professional development geared towards faculty on AI and ethical use. I want you to create objectives, an agenda, a timeline, you name it. But more importantly, if the information is limited, I want you to pivot. Find other information out there. The other thing that I asked it to do was, hey, when you're done, give me your rationale, give me your thought process. How did you get there? That is something that an LLM cannot do. So you can see here that it gave me all the things I was asking for, right? And at the end, it tells me, well, here's why I did this. Here's why I planned this. Easy, basic example, right? Basic. But what's really awesome about an agent is literally they make your life easier. I can tell my agent, Winston, I can say, hey, Winston, every Friday when Elliot sends out his president's update, I want you to send a very thoughtful response back to Elliot based off of what he said. I would never, Elliot. I would never. We all read your Friday update word for word. Okay, so, but you can have your agent do that. So every Friday, it's an automated task, no prompting. So it's wild at what your agent can do. So if you've never heard Comet, kind of surprised, but here's why. Comet is currently under fire. Anybody hear why? Put your hand down, Elliot. Here's why. Let's pretend I say, Winston, go into my Canvas course and complete all my assignments and my tests and quizzes. Guess what? Winston will do that. Comet is currently under fire because it is being touted as a tool for students to cheat. Literally, their social media platform talks about that. Okay, I need a gasp from the audience. I know. Okay, so then it begs the question, what do we do as an institution to address AI and ethical use? Our awesome student panel brought that up, right? So for us, the AI work group, we are working so hard to pump out guidelines and AI use policies and AI literacy courses and all the things that we can do to support you. But the reason why I'm showing you this, it's not all doom and gloom. These tools are out there. Our students are using them. We need to be aware of that, right? And we need to be able to provide support to our students and really guide them in how they use AI. But our job as your leaders, I'm a little leader. Our job as your leader, though, is that we want to support you as staff and faculty here. So it's our responsibility to make sure that you have the time within your departments to have thoughtful conversations about how this is fundamentally changing the nature of your job. We recognize this. You teaching 10 years ago looks nothing like you teaching today. And we want to be sensitive to it. We want to make sure that you have the compensation, you have the space and the time to address these challenges. So the AI Task Force is working on a faculty and staff PD series, a professional development series for you that allows the opportunity for this to happen. And we're very, very committed, right, Elliot? Thank you. We're very committed to ensuring that you have the support so that you feel you can then support your students. Thank you. Okay, so up next, so yeah, you heard us talk, that's great, but here's the fun part. We're gonna have our staff and faculty show you what they're doing in their day-to-day operations. So up first, we have Alan Foote. He's a faculty member in SIM, and he's gonna show you Priya.
Hello, it does work. Good. All right, yes, I am a faculty member in the computer information management area, and I am working with a product called Priya. And what you're looking at is my Canvas shell for my course CIMP 8B Advanced Python Programming. And we've got Priya in here. It's not moving?
Oh, I'll hit play.
There we go. Yeah, so you're seeing my Canvas shell. All right, and down here in the corner, this thing right here is Priya. And we're gonna get to that in just a minute. Right now, it's been set up as looking like a bobcat. And that, of course, is because we're at Saddleback. And in just a few moments, I hope we're going to hit it. There we go. And up pops this little chatbot. What is going to go on now is someone's typing in a question. They're typing in a question about my course. And they're typing in a question about project number 5. All right? And what the chatbot is going to do, what Priya, I should say, is going to do, is going to go and take a look at the content of my course, my Canvas course. That's the only thing it's really looking at. And in a few minutes, it's going to be able to tell the student what was in project number 5 and what they're going to need to do. This is a programming course. I will warn you, it gets into some things working with URLs and sockets and things like that. But all that information comes up right here, available to the student, right there within Canvas. They don't need to go outside of Canvas or anything else. As what Kim was talking about, this is also a little bit of an agent. What Priya refers to this as having a digital twin, the idea that you can actually have the faculty member not be there, and this becomes the digital twin, so the student can ask these kind of questions in the middle of the night and get the results and things like that. But what becomes interesting, this is really just for my course, and right now we have this set up just in your Canvas content shell, but the idea also gets into grades. We could have an agent that just goes in, takes a look at your grade, takes a look at grades, and then submits them into the student information management system. That would be all we need to do. We could have an agent go in and check on census date, find out what students didn't turn in assignments for the first week, and be able to get all this back right in there. So this is happening right now. I am obviously using it, and more is to come. So, yeah.
Good job. Okay, next up we have Chantel Gill, and she is going to be talking about her use of PlayLab.
Perfect, thanks Kim. How's everyone doing? We loving AI? I think it's good whether we're using it actively or not to know what's out there. To Kim's point, our students are using it, so let's continue to have conversations about it. So I was lucky enough to attend a non-credit summit for Vision 2030 conference just last month, and they had a whole session dedicated to PlayLab. I've never used PlayLab before, so I was really intrigued, and having PlayLab experts in the room, I was actually actively able to create a chatbot for our UDW students. This is a formal partnership through the State Chancellor's Office, and it's a historic partnership with a union. So it's the United Domestic Workers Union. So given the background that these are often older adult learners, they are currently working. We do hold orientations in the evenings for these adult learners, but I created this chatbot after our students attend our orientation with us to get them thinking of what programs they may want to study with us here at Saddleback College. And so all of this is housed. What I love about this, though, is that it welcomes students, UDW members, welcome to Saddleback College. Are you ready to get started? Yes. A lot of our UDW members are multilingual learners, so I created prompts in the background to say, please welcome our adult learners in various languages. And one of the first questions is, what language would you prefer to receive assistance in today? And again, it's all about knowing your students and knowing your student cohort. So I'm going to say English, but I put our top languages as English, Spanish, Farsi, Persian, and Arabic, which matches our data of the student cohort. I put my contact information at the very top. Some students may want to contact me directly, and that's perfectly fine, but I use this as a tool after students attend our orientation to get them thinking, right? Because we hold our orientations in the evening, I want to be able to come back the next day in the morning and see the responses from students to be able to accelerate and get to know them and reach out to them and connect them to possibly counseling appointments or applications. So the very first thing I also integrated is, may I have your permission to share your responses with Chantel so she can provide you personalized follow-up support and assistance. So I'm going to give it permission and say yes. What I love also is that I had all of this data tied to our Saddleback College webpage, and I also uploaded our slides from the orientation, so it knows where to pull information from. So now, I'd love to learn more about you. What are your educational goals or interests? What programs or career paths are you interested in exploring? And because we also provide support with our English language learners in healthcare pathways to provide free opportunities for students, which we embed in our orientation, I'm going to say ELL Phlebotomy. If I'm interested, just give it a short ELL phlebotomy, which a lot of students know are ELL programs. This also pulls from our English Language Learner Healthcare Pathway webpage that we have specific to phlebotomy. So not only are students not only able to explore programs, but also what you'll learn in these classes. What is a phlebotomist? Maybe folks don't know what a specific career might entail. And the amazing benefits. What is the difference between this specific ELL Healthcare Pathways class versus a general phlebotomy class? So tuition free, covered by grant funding, but it also provides you with things like job placement and significant salary potential, but there are specific requirements. So then it goes into that sort of thing as well. We also have requirements within this program, like doing CASAS testing and doing an additional application through the School of Health and Wellness. So our contact information is provided there. But this is also really great because it gives me the opportunity, like I said, the next day to be able to see all of the student responses and to be able to follow up with them with more personalized and customized support. So that is PlayLab.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have one more demo of PlayLab. That's going to be Nicole Major. She is faculty member in the School of HSS.
Oh, great. Okay, so originally I'm a part of a grant that was in September. I don't really have any experience with this, and so I created this app for my students to have a safe space for them to practice interacting with a variety of older adults before they complete service learning, internships, or work in the field of aging. And so it was originally designed for my sociology of aging students who have to complete service learning hours, and they practice interacting with older adults before they would go out into the field. And it's also intended for other aging studies courses. I teach death and dying, and so it looks as a character that they can work with to talk about end-of-life issues. And this app can be expanded to anyone maybe who wants to enhance interpersonal skills in general, working with older adults. So of course there's some limitations. There's a lot that I could still do on the back end, but we can give it a start here. So again, they're looking at working on some soft skills or interpersonal skills, strengthening those things like patience, respect, communication, problem solving, flexibility, teamwork, empathy, and then while trying to engage in simulated conversations with these older adult characters. So students choose who they want to interact with, first with this drop-down menu format. Kim, you can help me out here. So we have Mr. Rivera, widowed, lonely, sometimes frustrated, Miss Lee, an older adult with dementia, Alzheimer's, and Miss Thompson, older adult in palliative care. So I'm gonna do
Miss Lee.
Miss Lee, okay. And then students will go through 4 rounds of dialogue. I don't know that we'll get to all that. And then the older adult speaks first, then students will speak or write a response, and then they'll get a little bit of feedback going forward. Okay, are you ready, Kim?
Yes, I'm ready.
Sometimes PlayLab is really slow, but yours wasn't, so. Okay. Students are also really quickly given some guidelines for interactions to remember, some principles just kind of as they go forward. So, and it explains to them they're gonna have 4 rounds of conversation. So Miss Lee says, I keep forgetting where I put my things. It makes me feel foolish.
Oh, Mrs. Lee, I'm so sorry.
Oops.
Was that good? Was that respectful?
I would like, well,
Thurman, was that respectful?
What did you say, Miss Lee? What did you say?
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. How can I help?
Okay, that's a nice response. When and then
I'll
we
do
can
it
do
better.
another one. Okay, so then it pulls from kind of this keyword recognition, soft skills matching to guess that I've provided with it, and it says, okay, soft skills detected, empathy, compassion, you show genuine concern. The phrase I'm sorry demonstrates empathy, how I can help shows compassion and willingness to assist. So good job. Okay, now Miss Lee says, did I already tell you about my garden? I used to grow the best roses.
Stop telling me about your garden. You already told me 10 times.
That's
more like it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Kim, you're gonna ruin my demo.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's what we want. We want one kind of response that Oh, I understand you're practicing your communication skills. Let's continue with the role-playing scenario.
I'm
okay?
offended.
And then, did I already tell you about my garden? Okay, so I grow the best roses. So actually, this one is going to ask you to do it again. So
Okay.
please, please share with me. You did tell me, but I would like to hear again. I think that's a little more compassionate. And I think I'm probably out of my time, so we'll.
You're good.
Yeah. Okay, so this one showed active listening and respect, excellent response, and then it also says, I would like to hear again, demonstrate active listening and respect for her experiences, which is especially important when communicating with someone who has dementia. So sometimes I think my mother is still alive and I ask for her. So a student like maybe that hasn't worked with older adults might kind of freeze, like what do I say?
Awesome.
What would you say?
Oh, sorry. Sometimes I think my mother's still alive.
It's
I
almost
ask for
done.
her. Oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking. I would love to hear more about your mother. What was she like?
Okay.
Better?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my one friend.
And then it's done, so. Good. You had compassion and flexibility, and it explains a little bit more what you did, that's showing warmth and care. And then it goes on to the last response. And then it will ask you, do you want to continue working with Miss Lee, a new character, or do you want to end? And then it will provide you with a soft skills kind of reflection sheet.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. Okay, next up we have Alicia Zach. She's going to be talking about the library. Woohoo!
So I'm going to be talking about something in one of our very own databases that a lot of you guys are familiar with, ProQuest. So there's an AI tool now built into ProQuest called the Research Assistant. And it's nice because it's a starting point and it makes the starting point smarter. So this is something that's using retrieval augmented generation, RAG. So that means it's not making things up, it's being trained on the content from within ProQuest. And so that means that it's a little bit more reliable and it's transparent, and it also means that students can kind of see where things are coming from. So this here, let's see here. Thanks, Kim. Okay, so this is, I did a search here, and my search, I looked for AI literacy, librarians, and higher education. And it came up with this lovely article, Advancing AI Literacy, looking at research guides at R1 universities. And on the right side of the screen, here you can see the research assistant. It has the indexing terms, which students can then use as keywords to go on. It highlights important concepts, and it's all hyperlinked, so it can take them straight back to where they got it from. And it comes up with mind maps, which if you are visual, it's a great way to see topics that are related to what you are searching for here. So this next slide.
Next slide.
Yep. Just kind of highlights, if it was hard to see, the essential details, the takeaways. So a lot of times the language in an abstract can still feel kind of intimidating for a lot of students, whether they have learning disabilities or they're new to the language. The research assistant here in the essential details can kind of help students understand. Brainstorming related topics, again, this kind of helps you think about the topic from different lenses, and then that mind map gives you a visual representation of other things that are associated with your topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Rita Sultanian, who is the director of the Career and Reentry Center, correct? Okay. Resource. Okay. It's playing.
Imagine if a job interview felt less like guessing and more like training with a personal coach who never sleeps. Big Interview is a powerful online platform that combines video-based lessons, virtual mock interviews, and real-time AI feedback to help you for your next job interview. Everyone can log on with their Saddleback email address, and it's free to use for both students and faculty. Once you start an AI practice interview, you can actually search for any position through the system, which will describe a general term for, let's say, marketing as an example, or you can upload your own job description that you hope to interview for, along with your own tailored resume. So this is really powerful, and it kind of goes back to our points from the student panel, where what you put into it is what tailors the experience, because they compare that job description in your resume to then create an actual virtual AI interview with Eve, your own personal coach. So she'll read out loud the questions just like a real interviewer would, and once you submit your recorded response, the system then responds with feedback and insights on how you did in your answers. You can then view advanced feedback to gain an even deeper understanding of how you can improve. Then you can use interview sets and get AI feedback through general pre-recorded interview lessons. So you can start with a general standard interview, or you can search by industry, job position, or even by skill set or competency. And once you click play, you can hear the question and start recording. You'll probably get a little calibration, which you saw there, trying to detect your eye contact so it can follow along with your nonverbal cues as well. And then you'll go ahead and record your response. The system needs at least 30 seconds to be able to process advice and feedback for you, and you'll have all of your responses saved in your My Videos tab, where you can see it's actually awarded you a silver, bronze, or even gold medal for your performance. Once you click on a specific area, it's actually going to give you feedback on how you can improve in those specific areas. Looks like we've got a delay on that video there. Just thinking.
Oh, here.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Where's IT?
Can I ask a question while you're, is it like this, a staff member uses it? Is it confidential, or are they gonna fear that, oh, someone knows I'm looking for something?
Yes, all of it's confidential. I mean, the Career Center has admin access from the back end, but that's not connected to anything else, so no one can see, and we, of course, would protect that confidentiality. Okay, Rita, you're back up.
Where were you?
Thank you.
That's good. Yeah?
All right, so we've recorded our videos and we've clicked on our badge to see what our feedback is. It's pretty amazing because it's actually going to measure a lot of different areas of your interviewing skills, not just the specific content, not just your eye contact, but actually your pace of speech, the vocabulary you used, the use of your power words, and even more categories that will then help you to get better and better. You can view an action plan where you see these optimized suggestions to reduce your filler words, improve your body language, and even strengthen your storytelling in that response. While AI can't replace human guidance, it does bridge the gap between theory and practice. It empowers learners to walk to their next interview with greater confidence, authenticity, and readiness, which is what we want for our students. I really feel that when we give every student a virtual and personal interviewing practice coach or tool, such as Big Interview, we don't just improve their interview skills, we unlock the door to opportunity. This is just one of many tools we have in the Career Resource Center where we help students understand how to navigate the job market. Handshake is our interactive job board and networking tool. You saw many others there on that slide. And I wanted to let you know that Saddleback College is the first community college as the member of a coalition called Learning Well, who is dedicated to evidence-based practices for transformative education, specifically focusing on student well-being and lifelong work engagement. So we're really excited to partner with some faculty to develop some content around how to utilize AI ethically within a workplace context. So it's a really exciting time in the Career Resource Center. There are many different opportunities for you to utilize. Many of them are free to access. In fact, all of them are. We do encourage you to use them. And I would say if you are nervous about going online and utilizing themselves, we have guidance available for you in the Career Resource Center. Students can come see us, go to any of our program services and workshops, but also we can meet one-on-one to help students understand how AI is going to impact career exploration and research, job search strategies, and workplace success skills. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, we have Rod Romasberg from the School of HSS, who's going to be talking about Nectar AI.
So Nectar AI is, if you want to hit it, is a platform that just houses chatbots that you create and you can organize them through this kind of nested system that you can see in the navigation bar on the left there. In my class, I've broken my academic reading and writing class into 4 units, and then I've got chatbots within each unit that I created to help the students through the course. I started playing with this last spring. Now Nectar AI is available to all California Community College teachers and students. So it's available to anybody to use. Go ahead and do the next one. So when you do this, it is just a regular chatbot like they will see with ChatGPT. In this situation, it is a chatbot that is helping the students go through an article and identify criteria that the author is using to make an evaluation argument. It does it through questions because that's what I told it to do. So it's not telling the students anything, it's guiding them through questions to find criteria. Once they have found criteria, it then asks them to pick one, and the AI takes the role of this opinionated author of the article and has a debate with the students about one of those criteria. Once the student is done with the activity, they download it as a PDF, and then they upload it to my Canvas, and I am able to look at the PDF, and I'm able to read over through what they did. I can make comments to the students about things that they said that I liked. If the chatbot does something that I might disagree with, I comment on that as well. One of the things that I really like about Nectar is it has this analytics feature. So it will show with each one of the chatbots, it'll show the number of students who participated, it'll show how many conversations the students had back and forth with the chatbot, and it gives this summary of key topics, which can be really helpful for me to understand what students are focusing on and if students are misunderstanding something within the assignment. This is the settings. This is basically where you set up the chatbot. It has this knowledge tab where you can upload different documents that the AI will have access to within that chat. And then also you write the prompt. It is a steep learning curve. As people have said, writing prompts is something we're all learning how to do. So this is something I've learned a lot over the last 9 months. There is some help on the Nectar website, and the people at Nectar are fantastic, but you will have to learn things. So there's a QR code and a link here to Nectar. I communicated with somebody at the place there. They said this will take you to their form that you'll fill out to ask for access to it. As I said, they now have a deal as of just like about a month ago to give everybody at California Community Colleges access to it. But they said it'll put you on a list, and then they will be getting back to you. That's it.
Thank you so much, Rod. So big hand for all of the presenters again. And next up, we're going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to hand it back over to President Stern.
Thank you, Dr. DRC. She's not Kim, she's Dr. DRC. I've been slapped down. I want to thank everybody who presented, but also the people who put this together. That is Kim, that's Thurman. For my team, I want to thank Trish and Nikki. I do want to acknowledge, you heard from Chancellor Barnes, she's in the house. I also see Trustee Rydell. Thank you for being here, Terry, and being engaged in this subject. Thank you to those of you who are here. We have a few minutes left, and we're going to take some questions from you. But I just want to say one thing before we do take questions, and that would be anyone who's still here who presented, even our students who stuck it out, they can take questions from you if you have them for them. But I just want to reflect a moment on the totality of what we've heard today. One theme that I'm really big on and that I hear a lot today is the idea that what AI can do for us is do tasks in some cases that we have never been able to do, simulated interviews in the case of the work at the Career Resource Center, but also a lot of the things that we do that take up a lot of time but don't necessarily have a lot of return on investment for us. For me, I know it sounds weird, and maybe you think it sounds paradoxical, but I actually think that AI is about special sauce. I actually think, as weird as it is, if we have AI tools that help us do some of the work we do better and customize learning for students, it means that the time we have with students is more human, more opportunity to do the things that really matter. And if you think, whoever you are, whatever you do, what parts of your job could AI do? Not so that we can eliminate your job, that's never been the goal, but so that you can be more human in the time you do have at your job. And then there's the issue of everything that we can do and we owe to our students to get them ready for the future and make sure they have every opportunity to level the playing field, regardless of their learning style and their abilities, regardless of their preparedness level, regardless of where they came from, to be able to have the same opportunities to finish up and be ready for a career with the skills that they need. That's what this is. So if you ask me the question I asked our students as the final question, I am incredibly optimistic. I feel really positive about the future and positive about our AI adoption process because we're doing it this way that is very thoughtful and very careful, and we're doing it in a way that is very student-centered. And at the end of the day, it is about being more human and using tools so that the best of us, the things that are unique to us, are the things that we can speak to and do more of. With that, I want to thank everybody and open up the house to anyone who has questions. Trish has a mic. We'll try to find you. We got one on that side too. We are ready to go. Who's got a question for anybody who's presented or me? Anything? Go for it.
I'll just start with the first one. First of all, I was very encouraged by the students. They seem to have a lot of integrity, and I love it that they take pride in their work. It's not really for a presenter, but I am curious if there's a professor or student in the house that's in the performing arts, because I'm curious if all of these same rules apply as far as you're not going to be replaced. You just have to learn to interact with AI, because I see these videos being made with performers that aren't people. And I'm thinking, that's gotta be cheaper and easier and no drama. I don't know. Like, is our performing arts feeling threatened at all?
Scott.
I just will say this is a conversation. I know for like the Actors Union that they have come out incredibly strong that if you're using the AI actor Tilly Norwood, she doesn't exist, but she exists, if you know what I mean. That would be a union violation and they would not work with you. It is a conversation that I think is being had a lot. I don't know if it can't be replicated. Actors cannot be replicated. Musicians cannot be replicated. That being said, if you go on Spotify, you can find all sorts of AI generated music. But if you listen, you can tell, and it doesn't, I mean, yes, it's being used. No, it's not replacing anybody or anything at this point. Now, we do use AI generated voices to do like demos for compositions, to tell the real singer how to actually, the guide for it. So that is one way it is being used, so.
And I know for those of you who read newspapers regularly and you hit the read it to you button, you know, there are those simulated voices that now read to you. I feel really good. You know, I sometimes think of this, Kim, as like Bloom's pyramid, right? And like AI is creeping up. It's first like content. Well, that was the internet. We didn't even need AI for that, right? So our lives become less about conveying content and more about higher thinking. So reasoning, analysis, critical thinking, synthesis, all that stuff. And the AI is creeping up, and I gave an example of that. But what's at the top of Bloom's pyramid? It is the most human of all things. It is creativity. It is our ability to personally express ourselves. And when I think, I don't know who your favorite actor of mine is, probably Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore can move me in a way that I just don't think AI is ever going to do. So I feel really confident that those higher level Bloom skills that performing arts requires will be safe. And I can only tell you from the position of the college, and I think I speak for the district, Julie, like we have no intention of replacing people with agentic AI or anything like it. We want people to decide how agentic AI and LLM derivatives can help us in our work so that we can be more human. That's the goal of everything that we're doing around AI adoption. Do I think that there are going to be, just like, you know, the studios all signed labor agreements with all of the actors that said, you cannot use AI, right? And where did she come from, Scott? A new studio was formed. They created a studio that's a non-union contract. So do I know that there won't be private schools and academies that open up that use AI to teach? I am 100% confident that they are right around the corner. But we are going to adopt and be ready to take them on, but offer our humanity, which is something they won't be able to offer with it. What are the questions?
I have a question for the students. We heard a lot of comments about using AI to help you in the learning process, and I'm really sympathetic to those ideas. I thought a lot of them were really interesting, but I'm curious how you would feel about your instructors using AI to evaluate your work in grading.
You guys heard that, you know, we saw some demonstrations of ways in which grades can be done. If an instructor can put in a rubric into an AI platform, say, I want these quizzes graded this way, or I want your discussion posts. Many faculty are using those to grade discussion posts. How do you feel about that?
Hello, can we, oh, there we go. 5 to 10% of every prompt that an AI gives back to you is hallucination. It's always going to be a part of what an AI puts out. So as long as the teacher is not only leaving this up to AI, right, and using it as a tool to summarize, right, their point, and then having that final pass on the grading work, I don't personally see any problem with that, as long as they are the last set of eyes that's going over whatever the assignment in question is.
Good point. And you know, I want to point out, in medicine, many of you have seen for a long time your EKGs. If you ever had an EKG, it's read by the machine right at the time. And it wasn't really AI, it's very simple language and programming that reads certain things in the and gives an interpretation. But there's always a cardiologist who looks at it at the end who says, yeah, I agree. And now the cardiologist can read 100 EKGs in a few hours instead of just a couple. So the AI, or you know, the predecessor to AI, in this case, plain algorithmic programming, was able to do that. The next step, by the way, in medicine, for people who haven't heard this, is radiology. Like, oh my gosh, to depend on the eyes of an individual catching, you know, a potential breast lump on a mammogram, like, would you rather have that, or would you rather have AI? But it's not really either or, because it's going to be AI with a radiologist then looking at the AI interpretation to check it. So to Spencer's point, it's not either or, but the faculty member could be freed up to do other things that might be more meaningful to the students, but also committed to checking what the AI does in the first place. So really good use case. I think we are out of time. I just want to make one more comment, that is that you've seen many apps today, and I always want to advise caution, know what you're using, and how the data that you input will be used. Super important to be competent in that and to have that level of AI literacy. If you're putting in student data, if you're putting in student work in an authentic assessment that might be able to identify the student, is that going into a machine that can then pull that for the next search? So be very careful. There are enterprise levels of LLMs, and we use some of those, and very soon, after a little bit of training, we're going to be offering up to all the college, because it's been offered up to all colleges in the state of California, Google Gemini at the higher level, at the education level, where that material is safe. And also, you've heard about Notebook LM, that'll also be available. There are also higher enterprise levels of many of the apps that we look at that may require subscriptions, and we're open to funding some of those. We just need to pick standards and to have conversations as a college what we want. But do be mindful as we open up and release these enterprise level licenses on many things. There are many things that people are still using that do not have that level of safety. So anything you put in terms of a prompt, that's your business, but be very careful about FERPA rules and student information, and not just the student information like grades, which everybody recognizes, oh, I would never do that, but also those personal stories in an authentic assignment that you give a student that may make the student identifiable down the road. So just that word of caution. The future is bright. I hope you think the future is bright, because I think it's a pretty exciting time to be alive and to see all of the stuff that this can do. I'll end with the story that I opened with, which is being in LA and watching all of the Waymos around, 1 out of 6 cars, what is that, like almost 20% of vehicles. And recently, a bunch of us went up to a future summit in Santa Clara that was very much about AI in our future. And a couple of folks, I see John, I think you went, and I think Tram went as well, to the concurrent session on propulsion technologies for cars to elevate cars. So start to put together the vision in your head, like propulsion technology and complete automation of cars and the level of safety and traffic grids, and you start to see the Jetsons. And these crazy far out visions that you might think are 10, 20 years away, everything is happening at a logarithmic rate. It is happening so fast that we could be looking at 50% Waymos in another year, and we could be looking at elevated Waymos within a few years. So this is a very exciting time, and we don't really have a choice of putting our head in the sand because that wind is hitting us really hard, and we need to open up our eyes and feel that wind and say, okay, what can we do with this wind? And that's all I'm asking us to do. I'm here to support you. The college is here to support you. So go explore, go learn. The good rule is 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes on any AI tool you want. Start with an LLM if you're just a starter. Move on to the more agentic-based programs if you like, but do something to teach yourself. It's fun, and it's also really important so that we can do good by these precious folks. Thank you all for being here today.